What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? And today we'll be talking about the 4 stars and the weapons that are rerunning alongside Nahida and Hu Tao. That we already knew from the very beginning that these two are rerunning, and we just got information that Kuki Shinobu, Xingqiu, and Sethos are rerunning alongside them. We'll also be talking about the 4-star weapons that are rerunning alongside their signatures. So yeah, let's not waste that much time. Let's start this video. Okay, so let's just start with talking about the 5 stars. So we have Hu Tao and Nahida. In my opinion, if you are playing any Dendro related team, especially those that EM scaling like Aggravate, Spread, Hyper Bloom, Burgeon, I think that Nahida really benefits these teams quite well. She does have a very good Dendro application, and also has a passive talent that allows you to share EM based on how much EM Nahida has, which is actually very, very nice. I think that yeah, as I said, you're playing. I think she is the at this current moment in time, she is the closest character to a must pull. I'm not saying that she's a must pull, right? But she's if there's a character that's closest to that title, it's probably Nahida. The only situation is, like I said, if you like swear off Dendro, but that being, yeah, so Nahida is like one of the best options. The only team comp is probably Burning, but even so, she's like second best behind like Emily. So I think that there's something to put into perspective when it comes to Nahida. And then Hu Tao, coming to collect her. If you play the 5.1 story, she's come to collect her money, guys. Shit, I'm so sorry. Rip. Okay, so anyways, yeah, Hu Tao, I think is a little bit. She's a lot older character. 1.3 release character. Which was definitely one of the queens of single target. I think that if you really want a single target pyro DPS, she's definitely up for the job. Of course, a lot of people compare it to Arlecchino, and it's fair. Arlecchino and her pyro DPS polums. I think that the one thing is that obviously Arlecchino generally is a lot better nowadays, but Hu Tao is not that bad. I think in single target she still outperforms Arlecchino. So if you really want a single target queen, go for her. I think at this point in time, if you have Arlecchino, maybe she's not the best option to pull for. You can save your Jades for like not Jade, sorry, your Primo Gems for 5.2 or 5.3. But that being said, I think that Hu Tao is still good, but whether is it worth the pools is another thing. And I think that her value is a lot lesser than Nahida, obviously. And obviously, if you have characters like Arlecchino in your roster. So that's something to just take note of when it comes to Hu Tao. As it's still pretty strong. If you like her, pull for her. She's not going to let you down. But if you have like other options, it may not be feasible to pull for her. Okay, so that is the 5 star, sorry. Let's talk about the 4 stars first, and a character that I'm not as familiar with, but someone that I've heard good things about, Sethos. Sethos is a DPS, electro DPS. 4 stars, so take that as how you will. Some people don't like 4-star DPSs because they tend to have like lower stats, which I get, right? But I think that he still has a fun playstyle, and he has basically 2. One is a charge shot attacker similar to Tainari and Ganyu, and that's through his basics or his charge shots. And then another one through his ultimate, where he enters into a new state that delivers electro damage through his basic attacks. All right, so it's really, really nice. One of his talents basically gives you consumes energy. All right, by reducing the cooldown. And the other one just does a lot of damage. All right, so for those who are pulling for him, you may want to consider at least Constellation 2 or 6. Those are his 2 best constellations. C2 gives him a lot of damage for both playstyles, the charge shot and the ultimate. And then his C6 actually helps with the energy. It basically refunds the energy that you consume through that passive that I was talking about. The Black Kites Enigma happens once every 15 seconds. So it really helps a lot with his energy, because without the C6, he does have a very heavy energy consumption rate. So something to you take note of. All players should take note of. You really want to play him. That being said, I think that he's still a decent character, works with Aggravate and Hyperbloom teams. The one thing to take note is that his charge shot level 2 actually pierces. So instead of just hitting one target, it actually goes through everyone, and it also goes through like hyper bloom, like bloom cores to enact hyper bloom. So that's actually really cool as compared to a character like Fischl. All right, so unfortunately my camera's a little bit blurred right now, but my camera is autofocus, so that is that. I'll get back to you after I focus my camera. All right, so let's talk about two other characters that I'm more familiar with, that I obviously have built, which is, first one is Xingqiu. So let's let me find Xingqiu first. Yeah, Xingqiu, Hydro sub DPS, one of the best in the game since 1.0. Basically, the main stick behind him is his rain swords, which you can have through his special and his ult. His burst rain swords is the one that does the coordinated attacks, which is very nice. That means it's simultaneously doing attacks while also applying Hydro. So this is very crucial in like VIP teams, and also in Electro Charge, as well as Hyper Bloom and even Bloom teams as well. So like for most Hydro reactions, besides probably Freeze, because most of the Freeze characters don't really utilize normal attacks except for Wriothesley, but Wriothesley prefers melt teams anyways. Yeah, he's pretty good. The one thing that people always forget about Xingqiu is that his rain swords give resistance to interruption. So it's not really super armor, but basically, you know, you're less likely to get knocked over, right? So, you know, for me personally, when I play my Hyper Bloom, I actually prefer Xingqiu to Yelan, who is the character that most people always associate with, right? I prefer Xingqiu instead because I think he's a little bit more defensive, and he allows your on-field DPS to dish out attacks without you worrying that much. So just something for you to take note of. Obviously, like I said, Yelan is the more like offensive character, whereas Xingqiu is the more defensive character. So something that you really want to take note of, right? So this is the offensive part of Yelan, but this is not a Yelan video, this is a Xingqiu video. So really, it's really out for the players to decide whether they well, Xingqiu, as I say, is pretty great. So I wouldn't say like decide, right? Xingqiu is a great character. I think that all players should use him. You know, he does get cool constellations at, obviously C6 is his best constellation, but if I'm not wrong, C2 also does very well because you decrease the hydro res of opponents as well. So it's really nice. Yeah, actually most of the constellations are great, right? He's a character that is dependent on constellations, but his constellations are all pretty good. I said maybe it's C1. C1 just increases range stop by 1, but C2, C4, and C6 are actually pretty decent, with C6 being the best, obviously. So yeah, just something to really take note when it comes to the character. And then we come to Kuki Shinobu, a character that was released and to little fanfare. People didn't like her, they trashed her, they said that she was bottom of the tier list. And then Dendro came out and they realized that she was great because of Hyper Bloom. And generally, you only play Kuki Shinobu in either Hyper Bloom or Spread / Aggravate. But in those teams, she does very well. So basically, the main part of Kuki's kit is her Sanctifying Ring, which is the skill and is the one that it basically does the healing. But besides healing, right, it does periodic electro damage, right? And it is nice because that's what activates the Hyper Bloom for teams like Alhaitham, or even teams like Nahida, stuff like that. So it's really nice, and you don't really need to build her talents up very high. The only one that you probably want to build up is her skill, because obviously the skill gives you more healing, but the main part is basically stacking as much EM, because Hyper Bloom stacks on EM. The more EM you have on your Hyper Bloom trigger, which is Kuki Shinobu in this case, that means that the higher the Hyper Bloom damage, right? So you really just go EM on her, you go triple EM on your artifacts, and I think that for how little you invest into her, she does output a lot. Obviously, if you want to do other things with her, like build on more damage with her skill and her ultimate, that's a little bit different. I think that's kind of a waste. Like I said, you don't really need to even bother about her ultimate. You don't need to build ER on her, right? She has very low ER requirements, and so yeah, just build EM, just build health, HP, because her healing skills off HP. So really nice for players who are wanting to build her. Her best constellation, she doesn't really need constellations, but her C2 is actually pretty nice, because if you notice, her skill has a 3-second cooldown, right? So 12 seconds duration, 15 seconds, so 3-second cooldown, which basically means that you have 100% uptime with her C2. Everything else just increases damage, but you're not using her for damage anyways, right? So yeah, that it is what it is. The C6 also helps out because you know, you basically don't die, right? It's basically like you play like Kingdom Hearts games. It's basically like the last chance, and I can't remember what they were. I think it's last one of them is last chance, right? Where you basically have 1 HP left, kind of thing. So it's really, really nice with Kuki Shinobu C6, but I think the C2 is probably the one they aim for. But even without a C6, even without a C2, it's still pretty good anyways at C0. So she's something that she can take her off the box and she'll be pretty good anyways, right? So anyways, those are the 4 stars. I think I said great banner, especially Kuki and Xingqiu. And let's just look at the weapons. I think the weapons are pretty okay. In general, I don't think either character requires the weapons. Homa is a pretty goated weapon though, so it's a weapon that you may want to go for if you really want to pull for it. I think that Hu Tao in particular have better options, but the thing about Homa is that it works well with a lot of characters that are Polam users. So like even your Zhongli, your Shao, your Arlecchino all like the Homa. The 1014 Dreams is okay, right? It's a pretty decent weapon. I think she has good options like the sacrificial fragments, so there's no need to worry about getting the getting the weapons for both characters, but they're all both pretty nice, and obviously they're best in slots. Looking at the other weapons, so the eye perception, garbage. Right, if you get this, cry. For bonus, it's always good for verse wobble. You know, if you have your Lan and everything is pretty good. Lion's Roar is decent for characters like Keqing and Keqing and like any Pyro or Electro rated characters. It's not really like the best, like there are better options, but it can be a pretty good option, especially if you are in the early game. The Dragon's Bane is quite similar, but this one's EM scaling. So if you're playing like EM Raiden, or you're playing like any EM, like if you want EM, even Hu Tao on a Vape team, if let's say you're running a HP sense, actually this can be a pretty good weapon for her to maximize her Vape damage. And this is the new weapon, which I forgot the name of, but this is a plunging claymore. So it is like pretty good on characters like Gaming or any claymore characters that you are using alongside Shen Yun, like Diluc, like Navia, like Xingqiu. Apparently people are using Xingqiu. Yeah, so yeah, I mean the weapon banner is not that bad, right? I don't think it's the best weapon banner because the thing is that both characters can forego the signature weapons, right? Whereas yeah, there are better options. You know, there's Sac Frags for Nahida, you have like Dragon's Bane, you have the Deathmatch. All these weapons are all pretty nice for those characters. So yeah, I think that all in all, this is definitely a much better banner. We'll probably talk a lot more about Nahida in the upcoming days, closer to her banner. Right now, I think we have 4 days, 19 hours left. So, you know, when we get closer to the release of Nahida, or the re-release of Nahida, we'll talk a lot more about the Dendro Archon. But yeah, that's that for this video. Let me know if you are pulling for any of these characters, you're pulling for the weapons, or if you are saving for Chaska and Auroron. Well, Auroron's a 4-star, but you know what I mean. Or if you're saving for the next patch, right? Maybe you have these 2 characters and you are saving actively. Or you're saving for Malvika, Pyro Archon. Maybe that's also valid, sorry. So yeah, that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope that you guys really, you know, I hope you guys have a great day. Before we go, do let you know that I stream live on Twitch. Look at the stream below. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.